What'd you say?
Nothing. I was laughing at you.
Why? You'll be laughing at me, honey.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, today is Sunday. That means a kitchen table conversation. It's a little preview of what we're going to have on tomorrow night's show. What are we going to have on tomorrow night's show?
Well, we're going to have a laid out, patented PowerPoint, as Mike would say. But the first announcement I'd like to make is I have been working with somebody for months now. Mike is really into the Beacon Star, and he talks to me about it, and sometimes it just eventually. And the same thing goes, I'm kind of more into the Forrest Fenn stuff, and he's kind of eyes glazes over at times. So somebody who was as passionate as I was just about kind of digging into rabbit holes, I partnered up with and just said, I want to figure these things out. Can you be just a good sounding board? He brought a whole different toolkit of sources and information. He's pretty techy. You guys know him. You guys love him. Ben and Ashley. Ben will be a panelist on the show tomorrow.
Treasure Warriors on
Treasure
YouTube.
Warriors.
So he's going to join us Monday night. Monday night.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
And it's because everything's finally come together. And it's come together enough that there's enough evidence and information. We are going to lay out first all the facts and then some opinions and theories.
And conspiracy theory, that's for sure.
The bridge is out.
So one of the things that we know is that Jack went to Yellowstone National Park in April of 2019, right?
Correct.
And last show, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. He was doing a recon. He was doing this or that. But now since the Reddit database has been released, which are Condor 2, Jack's posts on Reddit, one of those posts was...
what do you do if the treasure chest has been found? That was one of them. Well, I don't know what you're getting at.
The
There's
1 year? He went there in April 2019.
The Condor says, if you do discover it, you need to leave it where it's at. You need to go relocate to Puerto Rico. And you need to then go back and retrieve it with permission from Forrest. I don't know if Jack took the Condor's advice, but...
Jack is the Condor, everybody. Yeah, but it's an interesting theory that what if Jack actually found it in April of 2019? Because he drove right from then, April 2019, he drove down to Santa Fe. What if he found it, left it there, and went down to talk to Forrest?
Okay, so before we get into too many conspiracies...
It's a conspiracy theory.
It is a conspiracy. Here's what we're doing tomorrow. Step one is we're going to introduce Ben to our little party.
Right.
Mike went and said hi to the Treasure Warriors last week.
Yeah.
I know a lot of you were surprised when we kind of announced an indie show. But step two is going to be going over the Reddit database from a standpoint of in April of 2019, the Condor's conversations, I think, changed pretty dramatically. He focused on taxes. He focused on the beep show that Forrest left in relation to taxes and if it was found in the park and the legalities and it doesn't matter what Forrest thinks.
Yeah.
And these are terms that he used. So step one is to go over specifically the Reddit post, word for word. We're not going to summarize it.
It sure seems like his posts were post-find, meaning I found it, how do I deal with it? And he put all this on Reddit because he used to talk to a lot of people on Reddit.
Yeah, he was a regular on Reddit.
Right.
So then we're going to take that step two. So first we're going to introduce Ben. We're going to kind of lay out the lay of the land. Second step is we're going to go over the Reddit post from April all the way until June 7th. And that was his last post that we'll go over tomorrow. There are a lot of solve posts that we'll go over at a later time. There's just too much to go over because really what we want to focus on is then step three. Step three is what was happening between April 19 and June of 2020. What scrapbooks came out that might be pertinent that Jack referenced that might have been a message to the lead searcher?
And if Forrest knew that it had been found, or not found, found but not retrieved. In other words, this opens up a whole line of questioning. If Forrest knew somebody found it, if Jack's like, I found it but I left it there, Forrest can't say it's been retrieved because it hasn't. In other words, anybody else could come along and find it. So, yeah, we're definitely going to go over the different possibilities. And what has Forrest said post-April 2019 as well?
So it's going to be laid out month by month. April all the way through when searchers passed, when searchers were arrested.
Sorry.
when searchers passed, when searchers were arrested. If you lay out the timeline, it gets pretty interesting. And all that will be laid out. So that's step 3. And now some of you are going to say, oh, you heard this from a source, or you heard that. Where did you hear April 2019?
You're right.
There is sources, but what we're going to do is some of the things that we're comfortable with sharing and have permission from the sources to share, like actual evidence, we are going to show you. And we can't show you everything for a variety of reasons. But Mike, Ben, and I will all say pretty confident at this factual stuff. And we're going to show you some pictures and information. We can't do it for everything, but then you're just going to, the level of confidence is pretty high. We're not talking about, we're kind of guessing between this and this. We actually have evidence. So we're going to go over that. And then the last piece, step 4, is here's some conspiracy theories. Here's how we brainstormed. That's when that's when we're going to get into, did he retrieve it? Did he not retrieve it? Did he leave it?
To me,
what happened?
Based off of what he posted on Reddit, it makes sense that he found it. And he waited a year in order to go to Puerto Rico and establish residency to go back and get it. And even then, when he went back to get it, well, see, that's just it. Basically, Jack's lying if that's the case. Jack never said he found it in April 2019.
Well, he never said he was with someone. We know who was searched. Some of you saw on Saturday, we were talking about search partner. I don't know if it's a search partner. There was another human being in a car with him.
At what time frame? April 2019?
On his boots on the ground searches. Let's just leave it at that.
When he found it, or do we know? Oh,
I want to leave it at that.
Got it. Okay. So there was somebody else involved. And, our GPS source, there was always a group. So it's just these little things we get that we'll go over.
I'm not going into GPS.
But one of the other things is if Forrest knew that somebody actually found it, do his scrapbooks reflect that in April 2019? Because he can't announce it's been found because it hasn't been retrieved. Anybody else could have still went there and found it. And if you're Jack, how do you find it and leave it? Well,
Do you break the blaze?
One way you find it and leave it is you dismantle the real blaze. Jack says it was an act of nature and sudden. What if Jack's the one who dismantled the blaze because he didn't want anybody else to come back and find it because he knew he was going to leave it there for a year? Now that's just pure speculation on my part, but to me it makes sense. A lot of people would say they would take it and bury it somewhere else, but then you've actually taken possession of it. I believe when you pick it up and move it. You've now moved it. He had to leave it there for a reason. But we'll go over all that on Monday Night Show.
But that is also, I want to focus on.
There's a lot to think about.
3/4 of tomorrow's show is going to be just factual evidence.
Right.
We've gone down lots of discussions.
And you guys make your own decision.
And you make your own decision. And we're not saying it absolutely is the case or not. It's all conjecture. And I did check in about some of the information with Jack. If it is personal related and going into Colorado Springs and meeting with the person you did in the car that you did, and we know where you drove and how you got there to West Yellowstone, if that's something you want to have some dialogue where you either want to kind of get ahead of it, you can, or the show must go on. So the show will go on Monday. But I did check in because Jack asked me that long ago, and if he has an issue, he said he'll let me know. Otherwise, it sounds like he doesn't have an issue, so we're going to have an awesome show. Me, you, and Ben.
Yeah, and then I'm going to go live here in about an hour. So I will get this uploaded, then I'm going to go live in an hour because we have a comic book on eBay that I want to watch it at auction and live. And then I want to talk about Randy's breaking news. Part of it is that he has the gold coin, so I'm going to talk about that gold coin.
Nice. Okay,
Makes
and
me
that's
want
it.
to solve the beacon star even more.
We're at 10 minutes. Bye.
Okay. All right, everybody. Oh, it wasn't on? No.